All right, everyone, the delays are over. It is time for us to begin our celebration of our centenary?
No, that's 100 years.
Century?
Okay, you know that one is also 100 years.
Centimeter? Centigrade? Oh, wait, no. I get it. Centurion.
No, that's a Cylon. Oh, okay, look. There's no fancy word for it, I think. But we're officially celebrating 100 episodes, plus a few, starting now. And to begin, let's know our brave Brazilian brother a little better. Welcome to the Music Arcade. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Music Arcade. I'm Galen, the Sound Guy Firestone.
I'm Rana, and in French that would have been centième, which would have made sense.
And I'm Eddie, and what do you mean this interview isn't for a job? I have my resume and everything.
Sorry, no job here, just hobbies.
I would love it. We can make a job out of this. We just need a few million more listeners.
One can dream. But until
But we're gonna say $1 million more, which I also wouldn't be mad about.
Yeah, no, fair.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, this is the start of a series for this episode and the next two, where we're going to have episodes centered about one of our hosts after the other. And right now, we are starting with Eddie. There's been a set kind of series of prompts, and everybody's going to answer the same. If you're looking at a new restarting point, just in case you don't think hearing about 150 hours of us yapping in the episode we've done so far, that might be a great way to familiarize yourself with the host. And if you are indeed joining us, welcome. Happy to have you here. Enjoy your stay.
Yeah, we are gonna get some lore today. Let's put it that way.
Oh,
We
that's
love
wonderful.
lore.
Some real life lore. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
It sounds like I've dropped some kind of wacky anecdote from my life over the last 20 episodes every episode, so, like, you're more than welcome to do so.
Slap stop of co-host. These bad boys can fit so many life anecdotes.
I do like Uncle Galen's story times.
Fair. Thank you, I guess.
But we are obviously still going to do that through the theme and the lens of what we're here for, video game music. So how about we start with entry number 1 in our little questionnaire, which is a song you like that deserves more recognition.
So, we're gonna start this off already by showing that I can be very annoying and pedantic at myself. Because here's how I took this question for me. I am not imposing this idea on either of you. This is just how my brain works.
Okay.
A song that deserves more recognition. Well, I could go for Mega Man 7 or Mega Man X6, which I already defend all the time, but let's go for something that I haven't talked about that much before.
You talk about this game, or at least this franchise, not zero. Like, this isn't the first time you brought it up for sure.
No, but still, it's a. Before I review what franchise it is, it still isn't something that I talk all the time. So
No.
I felt that was okay.
Indeed.
But my thought process after I went through, okay, Mega Man's a bit too obvious. What are some songs that deserve more recognition? Well, usually the good songs already get a lot of recognition by the franchise's fans. It's just the people outside the franchise that don't really hear it. Like songs that Destiny fans really like. You guys probably aren't familiar with, but I am. Meanwhile, I am not that familiar with a lot of songs.
I mean, we had a
from
whole
Final
episode
Fantasy
on
that you
exactly
guys like.
that.
Well, yeah, like in general, I think you kind of get the point. Like it stays in that bubble, but it does get recognition within that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one bubble came to my mind, which is the Diablo fans. because even among Diablo fans, I don't think I've ever seen anyone talk about any song other than the Tristram theme from Diablo 1.
Correct. Although I have a soft spot in my heart for the first layer of the dungeon from also Diablo 1.
And I also like the Rogue Encampment from Diablo 2. It is very nostalgic to me and plays to my dark folk vibes. But
Yeah,
that's not
that
the
checks
song we're
out.
talking. That's not the song I wanted to bring up today. What I wanted to bring up was actually from Diablo 3. I think specifically the expansion.
Correct.
And the song is titled Urzael or Urzael. I don't think they ever talk aloud the name of the character. Because
I believe they do. It would be strange if he's not at least mentioned, given that he is the final boss, I believe.
no, that's Malthael.
Oh,
Urzael.
my bad then.
Yeah, Urzael is, I think, one of his lieutenants or something. It's another fallen angel that serves and follows him.
Right.
Right.
And I think he's the first major boss of the DLC. And the DLC being
could
Reaper of
check out.
Souls.
Yes.
And yeah, so Diablo 3 already is a game where the soundtrack doesn't really get talked about. In a franchise where the only song that gets talked about is Tristram theme. So why not talk about this one?
Yeah.
And this is for a boss fight. So your enemy is a fallen angel. Effectively a fallen angel. They don't use that term in the game, but you get the point.
Yeah.
And the fight is in, I think, the bell tower of a church.
Cool.
Fancy.
So there's, of course, a lot of choir going on.
There sure is.
It's very cinematic, but I think the tempo specifically works well with how the gameplay of Diablo 3 works. In an action RPG where you have the camera behind the character, I think it would come off as a bit weird and maybe a bit slow for a boss fight. But with how it works in Diablo, I think it's really fitting, and I like this sense of like grandiosity. Like you're killing something that shouldn't be killed. It's something holy.
I believe I have kind of a look at this track that justifies both what is the strength of this track and also why people don't talk about much of Diablo's soundtrack, which is that this track has, as far as I'm concerned, a great rhythm, like you've already mentioned. The drums are amazing, the pace is really strong, it works very well, and it has that haunting taint on top of it. But there is barely any standout melody, which means it doesn't really stick in people's mind the way some of the 90s Blizzard composition style could.
Yeah. In my mind, this song kind of mirrors my thoughts of the franchise as a whole. Which is to say, it starts off really strong, really striking right out of the gate. There's a lot of tension. But after the first half, it kind of starts losing its way. And then just sort of eats its own tail a little bit.
It has a bit of this issue of a song that doesn't really go someplace.
Yeah.
I don't mind it in this instance that much, given that the rhythm is varied enough and it's clearly what it sets out to do.
Absolutely.
But there is that aspect that was a bit more bothering in other tracks you've brought up before. That definitely means that it has a harder time standing out in my mind.
And unfortunately, that's kind of a thing from Diablo in general, at least from an outsider. Like, yeah, it starts off like everyone knows what Diablo is, but unless you've played it, most of what you know about it is just the very kind of surface level stuff. You're in a dungeon, you beat up demons and angels, you get loot, rinse and repeat ad infinitum.
I can see that. I personally have always been attracted to the Diablo soundtracks because of that dark folk, and in this case, it's more of a dark and neoclassical
Yeah.
take on things. And those
And
are two
again,
genres.
the rhythm covered is really solid, and I especially like the way the strings that are very much in the background kind of tie the percussion together in small little bundles.
Yeah, it does, like, this specific song is a bit more bombastic than most Diablo songs, but it does
It's
still
a boss
tie
fight.
into the. It is a boss fight, but it does tie still into the general soundscape, which is very ethereal in the Diablo franchise. And
Yes.
the Tristram theme, I think, sticks in people's minds because it was still ethereal, but it was just a single acoustic guitar. So there's only so much you can do, and you end up, of course, coming up with a melody,
Right.
a hummable melody at the very least. As
I
for
like-
Although there was for the song as a whole more than just the guitar.
yes, the guitar is the part that everyone remembers.
Yes, of course.
As for this specific song, kind of like the second half, kind of going nowhere. I kind of blame it a little bit on how Blizzard does their soundtrack albums, because they never take the separate pieces. They
Yeah.
always do sort of medleys, and this is a boss with two phases. So I don't quite remember how exactly it works in the game. It's been a while since I last played Diablo 3 specifically. But yeah, it's a boss with two phases, and then after you beat him, it kind of fades out. But I do remember that he uses a flamethrower, and on his second phase, there's a lot of falling debris on fire.
Angels, fallen angels with flamethrowers. Name a more iconic duo? Question mark.
It is very Blizzard in the sense that Blizzard does a lot of things that are just, well, it's rule of cool, so why not?
That's fair.
You're right. It is very Blizzard in the way that it could have been borrowed from Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer 40k. Who said
Pretty
that?
I mean, it's basically how most World of Warcraft expansions work.
Or Warcraft in general as a franchise, or StarCraft in general. To be fair, it has worked for them, and these have proven more enduring franchises than Lost Vikings or Blackthorn.
As a complete tangent, you bring up StarCraft, and I just saw earlier today that there's a StarCraft event in Diablo Immortal, and I just looked at that and went, StarCraft keeps being the franchise that gets more support outside of its own games.
Nier Automata has entered the chat.
Fair. But yeah, as far as a song that I think deserves more recognition, that's the Urzael boss fight theme. I really enjoy what they did here. I think it really fits the setting, it really fits the vibe of a boss fight in a game like Diablo 3. And I really like the choir. Really like the choir.
Choir's great.
I can definitely see all that, yeah.
Yeah. For the record, despite my somewhat negative sounding opinion of the song, I actually do like it quite a bit for an atmospheric track. It has no melody, and that's a pet peeve of mine, sure, but
it definitely makes perfect sense where it should be.
It makes perfect sense. It's a very cool track in its own.
Yeah.
Big thumbs up for me for this kind of music. Now, probably not something I'd ever listen to, like, go out of my way to listen to, but if it showed up on a playlist or whatever, I wouldn't, like, skip past it or something.
I am the weirdo who does stop to listen to this stuff, so that's why it's on here.
You're not a weirdo. You just have different tastes. You're cool. We're good.
I know. I'm just being self-deprecating with my humor.
Now then, how about we move from one weirdo to the next, affectionate in both cases, and talk about question number 2, the most Rana song you like too, or that you can think of.
This is definitely a Rana song.
This question actually stumped me a little bit because I kind of have a hard time getting a read on what Rana actually likes in terms of music. You are kind of all over the place. Let's put it that way. And well,
No, fair.
I could have gone with like the mime theme from Clair Obscur, because it's just stereotypically French, but I didn't want to engage in stereotyping. So
yeah, I am more than just French, I like to think. And not just because I live near one of the borders.
You are almost German as well.
Technically, I'm also half Russian on my mother's side.
And you speak English.
I do.
Multicultural.
How do you know that? I never said it.
I kind of have an idea. But yeah, so I actually kind of went for the random stuff vibes, and I was browsing through the Esoteric Ebb soundtrack, which I mentioned in the previous episode surprised me as a game where it had a track where one of the guest artists was a black metal band, but it has another track that does not have a black metal band as a guest, but it does have 2 guests that I don't know what one of them does. I know who Mo is. But the song is Days of Joy.
One thing I will say, I will keep my opinions on the track as a whole for a bit later to leave you more room to discuss it among the 2 of you first. But I will say, this is not what I figured Esoteric Ebb sounded like.
Yeah, okay, right? So real quickly, remind me, is Esoteric Ebb the one by the developers of Disco Elysium, or by the people who left the developers of Disco Elysium?
Neither. It's inspired by Disco Elysium, but set in a world that's closer to Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, it uses Dungeons and Dragons mechanics.
And the teams are unrelated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so option 3, I'm just wrong entirely about this. Got it.
You did get the general gist, though. It is heavily inspired by Disco Elysium, to the point where, like, you have points in Constitution, Strength, and such, and you talk to your Constitution and to your Strength.
Yeah,
like you
that
talk
sounds right.
to the skills in Disco Elysium.
That sounds right.
I think if my memory serves correctly, you actually are acting as a detective as well, though you are officially a cleric. But yeah, so the song, I would say, it kind of starts the way you'd expect Esoteric Ebb to sound, but then it goes places.
That it does.
It really does. Like, we start with this very peaceful, cool panning on the acoustic guitar, and then it's kind of a weird pop zone where we got this, like, Billie Eilish with the serial numbers filed off, or, I don't know, Portishead with the VIN number filed off. Then it goes into a metal direction. Like, this one's all over the place. It's very cool.
Yeah, I believe if not all of the female vocals, then at least the majority of them are by Mo.
Yeah.
If anyone listens to this,
it's either Mo, or Mo.
Yeah, I think it's Mo, but I could be wrong. It's the O with the slash on it.
It's the no smoking sign. Let's be honest about what that is.
Fair. But yeah, if you're listening
to no parking sign, actually.
Also,
at least here we that's the symbol there.
Could also be the stop sign for places where they don't actually write out stop, like here, because the word for stop is too long.
I associated that more with an octagon.
Yeah,
that's also fair. Anyway, going back to the artist in question, you might be familiar with Mo if you listen to pop music a lot.
Yeah, Dream On was a big hit.
Lean On.
Lean On? Lean On, you're right. Yes, Dream On is Aerosmith.
Lean On Yeah,
No,
it's
you're
Lean On
right.
by Major Lazer.
Major Lazer and DJ Snake. The
Yes.
Turn Down for What guy?
It is exactly the kind of music that I don't like, but I love that song for some reason, and I
Same.
don't know why.
Same. It's just a great song.
I tried looking to Mo's discography, but her style isn't really my thing. I just really like her voice, and I wish she did more stuff that is my vibe. And then this song came along.
Mission accomplished? Question mark?
I guess. I don't know if she had a hand in composing the song. The actual composer of the soundtrack is Anders Bach. But it works. It's a cool song. It's a cool song that really has a really varied soundscape, and it varies in mood a lot. And it also has featured by, I don't know if it's pronounced GNOM or GNOME or whatever. It's
I mean, that's clearly
GNOM.
just a gnome, right? It's just a
I-
gnome without an E.
Yeah.
Or a dating site for gnomes.
Yeah.
Oh God. That sounds like something for like Esoteric Ebb 2 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried looking into this band. I'm not sure I found who they are, but if they are the ones I found, they're basically a screamo band. Has the screaming in the latter parts of the song.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it's hard for me to talk about the song because it just goes everywhere possible, and I kind of just enjoy everywhere it goes.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my main takeaways, that it seems like you anticipated the possibility that we would accuse the previous pick, Urzael, to not go much places, and took it personally with this song that goes a lot of places. And every time you're like, hell yeah. At least I am, because I really like it as well.
Even I could tell this is a very Rana song. I like its individual parts. I'm not sure I like how they blend together, but I don't hate this song. I don't know if I like it, but I don't hate it. It's got a lot of parts that I really do like, but I think the tonal whiplash may be a bit much for me.
Yeah, that is fair.
And it's pretty right for me.
Sure
it's
is.
my Goldilocks zone. We have the peaceful vibe at first, then the bloops, then we get the synth, the aiming loops, the lyrics, and I'm like, hell yeah, at this point. And then there's the bridge with the screeching words, and I paid a bit of attention to the lyrics as well, and I appreciate that it's not just a reflective of contrast, but also of kind of a push and pull between making a future and a pillar of tradition, dreams and pragmatism, community and independence. And I think that fits the themes of the game from what I heard of them very well, and that is the kind of push and pull and contrasts and having to wrestle with paradoxes that I can very much relate to. So I like that pick. I like that song.
I'll be honest, I didn't stop to check the lyrics. So the
I
fact
was
that you
100% certain of that.
the fact that you went above and beyond means I was right.
Yeah.
You sure were.
Yeah, you were. And how about we verify next if you are right about the most Galen song you like or can think of as well?
I will also
Yes.
hold off my opinions to let you spread your wings. Let's see what you came up with.
Excellent.
That is fair. So yeah, fun fact, Galen and I first met on a Discord server talking about a band that technically exists, but not really. The band's
Technically.
called Delane.
The
Yeah.
best kind of existence.
No,
not
no,
in
it
this
isn't.
case. Not in this case.
It really isn't.
Yeah, so the band is Delane. Actually, they have nothing to do with this song, but that's the fact that we started talking because of a metal band is what matters here.
Yeah.
So I sort of always end up associating Galen with metal one way or another, and the fact that the music channel on his Discord is called Heavy Metal is not helping beat the allegations. Let's put it that way.
I mean, that was also the joke, but yes, please continue.
So yeah, but basically, I was looking through like, very metal songs in video games, and Twisted Metal is right there in the name. It's the song "Gentlemen Start Your Weapons." I'll be honest, I never played Twisted Metal. It's possible there's a better song that's more Galen in the soundtrack, but this one I was listening to it and I was just going, hell yeah, this is cool.
So I'm just going to let you in on a little secret.
Go on.
Starting with the second game, Rob Zombie was heavily involved with the Twisted Metal franchise, so you could have legitimately put Super Beast by Rob Zombie in here, and I would have jammed the hell out to it, and that would have been valid.
Yeah.
I actually think I've seen people say that, because here's the thing, there's I think some Peacock a show
there is a
based
Twisted
on
Metal
Twisted
show,
Metal?
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
there's a Twisted
it's either
Metal show.
Peacock or Prime. It's one of those.
Yeah, I think it's Peacock. Anyway, there's a Twisted Metal show, and for the second season, they actually used Dragula by Rob Zombie, and I
Objectively correct.
objectively correct. And I remember
if it's good for Jet Set Radio, it's good for them too.
Yeah, and I remember posting to the song channel on Galen's Discord, noting technically this isn't this isn't music video nor linked to a song. This is about a streaming show, but this works more as a music video than the actual music video for the thing. And I remember people in the comments were noting that Rob Zombie was in the actual franchise.
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't like PlayStation has always been kind of distant from me, kind of inaccessible. So I just didn't know much about the franchise, and I just went click. And shout outs to it being composed, from what I can tell, by Chuck Carr, which that's a determinative surname if I ever seen one.
I know, right? Now, as for my journey, if you will, listening to this song, because I haven't played any Twisted Metal game, but I listen to the first notes, I close my eyes, and there is a nostalgic intensity to the earnest edge of the guitar that carries me like a wave. My soul remains transported despite not knowing the source material. It oscillates between Carmageddon and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, probably a little something else I cannot grasp yet. And so it has this feeling of something that I definitely haven't heard in itself, but that nonetheless feels familiar. It's comforting for how much of a big old guitar song it is.
So I have a theory about Twisted Metal. A theory. This is unproven. This is a response. This is PlayStation trying to be the edgy response to Mario Kart. And I say that in that they decided, screw the race, we're just going red shells all the way down. It is a vehicular combat game.
I can see that. From what I've seen of the game, again, never played it, but I've seen gameplay, and I've seen that clip from the show. I can believe that.
I have played it.
Absolutely.
I played a few of them. It was one of those many games I used to rent from Blockbuster when I was in a certain mood.
Mm-hmm.
This song is pretty cool. The song itself is somewhere between punk and thrash. I guess it's punk if down-tuned, or surf rock if down-tuned. Lead guitar is cool, good use of panning. It's just a cool song. There's a fun solo in the back half of the track, too.
Yeah.
I don't know how, like... Weirdly, though, it's just off for me, because down-tuned surf rock and down-tuned punk is just weird to my ears. It's not bad. None of this is bad. I like this song. But I don't want to, yell at it and say it's not good, because that's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie. This is a cool song. Not sure I'd call it a me song, though.
That's fair. Maybe I should have gone with more symphonic metal somewhere.
Yeah, something a bit more melodic, with a bit of a bit of a skill flex on top of it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, this is...
It feels like the extra Galen touch.
Yeah, this is a simple-ish song. The guitar solo is really cool. This is a simple-ish song. It's not wild. It's fine. It's a good song.
Yeah.
It doesn't light me on fire.
Yeah,
Congratulations on not being a flaming clownhead, then, I guess.
I'm glad not to be. I'm glad not to be that guy. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Most of them, the actual metal video game songs that came to my mind first were actually stuff closer to like Doom, which I know it's not quite Galen's vibe, so I ended up going to the other end of what counts as metal. I can see how like maybe doing some research for symphonic metal in video gaming probably would have landed a bit closer to home, let's say.
Yeah. I will say there are two songs in here in particular that I like way more than this one on this playlist. That I'm just like, yes, I love these songs. There's two in here.
Metal, after all, is a very vast landscape, and it's not straightforward. One might even say it is. Say it with me. Twisted.
Doom.
Anyway, how about we move on from a sleeper hit from one of your composer, which explicitly can be a non-video game track?
Yeah, so I actually had a few names in consideration here.
Yeah.
The one I landed on is very obvious once I get to it, but I'll list the ones I consider first.
I will say when I read the name, I was like, yeah, checks out.
Yep.
Yeah, figured. So yeah, I thought of Dwayne Decker, who has done Rise of Nations and Rise of Legends, which are two games that I talk about all the time when I can. He's also done, I believe it's an independent game. It's a tower defense called Defense Grid: The Awakening.
Oh, I think I played that.
I very much did. It was part of the big ARG push amid Steam ahead of the launch of Portal 2.
Didn't know that. I have the game because it was free on the Epic Game Store at some point.
They had a secret Portal level and a whole bunch of stuff about potatoes.
Anyway, that's a game that I actually like. I played it and I went, it sounds like Dwayne Decker. And I checked the credits. Yep. But anyway, his name came up in my mind, but I couldn't really find like a sleeper hit that I would bring up. Next came up to my mind, Akemi Kimura, which I bring up all the time because he worked on Mega Man X6. He's also worked on Mega Man X7 and the Ace Attorney franchise. VGMDB currently says he's a composer at Platinum Games, but doesn't list any of their games in his discography, I guess.
Probably means he was working on Scalebound or something, and that game never released, so...
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So, again, I didn't really have any sleeper hit to bring up. So, next I thought of Jesper Kudd. I think it's very obvious why I thought of him between Hitman and Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's also worked on the Borderlands franchise, but I don't really play Borderlands, so I didn't know what to bring up. So
he has?
That's also a bust. Yep. At least 2 of their games, I think 3. I think he's worked on Borderlands 2, the pre-sequel, and 3. I could be mistaken, though. He actually does a lot of... He does a lot of work, surprisingly. But yeah, I didn't really think of a sleeper hit to bring up. So, next up, Mick Gordon, friend of the podcast. I wish.
Yeah, me too.
The thing is about Mick Gordon is that we already did a Mick Gordon special, so nothing would be a sleeper hit anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that also went by. I thought of Austin Wintory, who works on basically everything indie, but I don't play everything indie, so I didn't know anything to bring up as well. So I landed on the old faithful Kirill Pokrovsky.
Yep.
And he is one of only two artists, possibly three, but I think only two, that I would describe as musical heroes for myself. If you're curious, the other one is Devin Townsend.
Understandably.
And Kirill Pokrovsky started his career as keyboardist and one of the composers and songwriters for the then Soviet, now Russian metal band Aria, which was the
I did
first.
not know that.
Yep,
I did know that because Eddie has told us before.
I clearly have forgotten since then.
Between the three of us, we have approximately the memory of one person.
Yep, pretty much.
So it's understandable. But yeah, Aria was, from my understanding, Aria was the first metal band from the Soviet Union to attract enough of an international audience to actually make them go outside of the Iron Curtain to do concerts. But most of their songs weren't composed by Pokrovsky because they are mostly sort of in that Iron Maiden vibe in their sound. And Pokrovsky, keyboardist, not quite fitting, let's say. But I believe it's their debut album, Mania Velichia, has a title track that kind of acts as an interlude between two halves of the album. And that song is listed as being composed entirely by Pokrovsky. It is just him. And it's basically just a lot of synths.
It's a lot of synths and a whole lot of la 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 la.
Shoutouts to the person in the comment who wrote the lyrics, and it's just a lot of la 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 ah written in Cyrillic. First noting that it's cool that it's almost my age. The intro feels very classic inspired, and then there's the choirs that are very light and feel like they come from a different kind of tradition than something more Western, more Latin derived. And I was writing these notes as I was still listening to those tracks, and I literally said, wait, when did that guitar sneak in, and can we get more of it?
Yeah.
No, okay, that was pretty cool while it lasted.
Yeah, no, that guitar almost feels like it doesn't belong, I'll be honest. It's real weird in there.
It really comes through the back door, and I love it.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the guitar is there because he went, oh wait, this is for a metal album.
But there's a bit that air. And the fact that it articulates two halves of an album, it kind of make the song click together even more.
I mean, it might help if I tell you that the title translates to megalomania.
So we are playing the prequel to Live Alive after all.
Yeah, I was trying to fit a Shimamura joke in there once you said that as well. You got there before me.
I think it is fun that this song, like, it definitely fits as an interlude into a more traditional metal album, but at the same time, as you listen to this, and if you especially read the name of the composer, you go, so that's how he started. Because it does sound like...
Yeah.
It sounds like someone who would go on to work on video games.
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked it. Like, this is after hearing this track that I wrote in the Discord channel where we prepare the podcast. Oh, so it's gonna be oops all bangers this episode, I see.
Yeah, for the most part. There's one song in here that I've discovered I hate, but we're nowhere near
it. Yeah. I wonder if it will be the same one, because there is one that I have conflictual opinions about. But we're not there yet. For now, we are still solidly in the things that we unreservedly enjoy zone.
Yeah, this is wacky and weird, and Not as 80s as another song on here, but I get why it's 80s.
It feels different in a way that is kind of a reminder of how fun it is to look at the unexpected places and not to just start from one point of a thing you like and go to what's neighboring that and what's neighboring that. Sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith and you're gonna land into some weird stuff.
Yep.
And some very enjoyable stuff indeed.
And just as a final quick shout out, Kirill Pokrovsky, he started in Aria. He was there for the first 2 albums. And then he went on to form a band with some other former Aria members called Master, if I recall correctly, which apparently is a thrash metal band. And I'm very curious at how the hell his style of keyboarding would have fit a thrash metal band, and I need to find out if he ever recorded anything with them, which I haven't discovered
if
yet.
That episode leads you to go into that kind of wacky investigation, mission more accomplished.
Yeah, that's an investigation for future me, let's say.
For now, how about we go to the next entry, which is Free Space number 1, or to give a little bit more guidance, a song that you always want to bring up whenever you see it, but you never get the chance within an episode's theme.
So, let's start with a, quote, fun thing about me. When I think I got something wrong, or when I discover something that changes my opinion and my previous opinion is still very much public, I beat myself over it a lot. And so, once I discovered that Mega Man Zero has some bangers, and I completely dismissed the entire Mega Man Zero sub-franchise in our Mega Man special, you can imagine that for a few years now, I've been having some of those songs in my mind whenever we think about new themes.
Years and years of regrets, I see.
We just did flying themes, and part of my brain was trying to fit this in because you are technically in the sky. You are in a space station that is falling down to the ground, so you are technically in the sky.
I'm glad you didn't include that because we're doing the opposite of flying on this if we're crashing.
Yeah, I kind of had to just no, this doesn't belong. Stop forcing things. But yeah, the song in question is Falling Down. It's the final boss theme from Mega Man 04, and the version in our playlist, and which is the one Rana and Galen have listened to, is actually a, quote, composer self-cover. So the composer of the song, Shinichi Itakura, he released a cover of his own song to YouTube, using actual synths rather than whatever bleeps and bloops the GBA sound chip can do.
Yeah, and already we're having a lot of interesting stuff in the self-cover part, in the fact that I looked at friend of the podcast VGMTV's word on the street on him, and this is basically the only video game he composed for.
That's kind of incredible, to be honest.
Anything else from him?
Yeah. I went about 30 seconds in, and then I went to listen to the original to enjoy it even more, because I was already very much enjoying it.
I mean, the original, like, the version that's actually on the game isn't bad by any means.
Yeah, it already has in the composition that sense of finality, of importance, but there are limitations when it comes to sound quality, in particular with the guitar, which is ironic because instead of bringing a more refined guitar for this self-cover, he went, how about we change it to a cool synth?
Honestly, I love this. I'm usually a fan when we get self-covers ages later. I've gushed about Shimomura's take on Vegas theme for Smash before. This is right in that vein. This is taking the version of the song he worked on once upon a time, really modernizing it and just letting the instruments fly because you don't have to deal with like the GBA's terrible sound chip, and it just comes alive. I love this song so much. This is how the song should have sounded.
Really, really good.
I will also note, for a fun fact, on his YouTube channel, he also has the original demo he submitted, which is also sounds really interesting. But this new self-cover, quote unquote new, is probably my favorite version of the song.
Yeah, I can see why.
It is one of the songs that I think still, like I said, still sound good on the GBA, but the GBA really suffered, especially from those guitar sounds in the Mega Man Zero franchise. The way they tried to do guitars sounded really rough, and you can especially hear that in Mega Man Zero 1's version of Zero's theme from Mega Man X. It sounds really forced, like you didn't need to use guitar sounds, you were just using it because the original version on the SNES used the equivalent.
And I think it's both unfortunate how it sounds and kind of necessary to do because of how integral the electric guitars are to X and in particular Zero's musical identity. They kind of didn't have a choice, I feel.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that had to be on the GBA. And I wish the Legacy Collection had like an updated soundtrack or like the original demos, but it sadly doesn't.
Yeah.
But at least we have this.
I'm so glad we have this.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, okay, that's it.
Yeah, I was wondering who that go-ahead was for.
Yeah. It sounded like the start of a point on Galen's side. But yeah, to go even a little bit further on that song, when you look at the video of that self-cover, one thing that kind of caught my attention was that on top of a pretty modern keyboard, there's also a very old one that's used to contribute to the paradoxically artificial, synthetic, and futuristic tone of parts of the track. And having this, again, push and pull between old tools and something for the future feels very appropriate for the end of the Zero series in particular, given how, by that point, it's an old machine that's fighting and for the umpteenth time sacrificing himself for something in a future he will not see. And it feels thematically appropriate to use those old devices for a future sound this way. I feel this is overanalyzing, so I will not say this is intentional and, masterstroke of genius or something, but it feels right for this reason.
Yeah, I think that may have been some unintentional kismet there, because I listen to this song and I look at that guy's studio and I'm like, my man loves his mini moogs. That's what I got out of this.
He really does.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen his videos on his channel?
I have not, but I intend to.
I believe him and Yuzo Koshiro could have a synth-off.
Yeah, that sounds about... From what I can tell just from this song, I believe it.
Yeah, if you've seen someone with a lot of synths and you think that's a lot of synths, look at this guy. This is a lot of synths.
Yeah. I think this is just some... It just fits together well, more or less unintentionally. I think this composer just really likes this style.
Yeah, clearly.
Sometimes it just sounds good is all the explanation you need.
I do like to go a little bit further, but that takes nothing from the fact that, it sounds very good. also the change from the guitar to the synths again helps shift a little bit the tone to be slightly less in the confrontation, in the fight, and more about the narrative at large of the events unfolding. And that's a stellar pick. And you are very right to have used that free space to throw it in there, because, it deserves to be talked about. Absolutely, 100%.
And YouTube keeps throwing it in my face every now and then, so I never
Sometimes
forget
the algorithm get it right.
It does get it right, but also makes me never forget that I did completely gloss over the entire Mega Man Zero sub-franchise in that episode.
Well, here's hoping that works as a bit of exorcism as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how about we move on to a song that is not from a video game, but feels like it could be, and you want to talk about it.
So I started this question with a list of 5 different songs that could work.
Okay.
I figured, okay, I am gonna need to pare this list down, and then I had 7.
Wow, it's almost like it's Rana doing the list and not Eddie.
Yeah.
You
kinda
said it, but I thought it just as hard.
I know you did.
Eventually, after some time, let's put it that way, I landed on what I think I actually have something to say, because a lot of those were, when I started thinking about them, I was going, okay, I would just go, this sounds like it could belong in a game. Next. This I actually have something that I think I can say, and also we can add to my biography here, I suppose, add to my lore. Because it's an Enya song.
You have Enya lore?
So
that's the most surprising part of this episode so far.
My mom really loves Enya. Like, really loves Enya.
Yeah, with you so far?
When I was growing up, we didn't live in an apartment. We lived in a fairly big home, fairly big house that she inherited from my grandmother, which meant that since it wasn't an apartment, she could leave music relatively loud so she could listen wherever she was in the home. And she has, if not the entire, then close to the entire discography of Enya.
Yeah.
Which might help explain why I like Devin Townsend so much and why I am drawn to stuff like neoclassical and neo-folk music.
Yeah, it sounds like you pretty much grew up with it.
It was seared into your ears forcibly.
Yeah, pretty much. Ironically, I'm not a huge fan of Enya or some of the other artists that my mom listened to a lot. I think it's because I just listened to it so much that it kind of lost the novelty over the years.
That checks out.
But this song is one that I actually do enjoy. It's closer. It's almost like dungeon synthy in its vibe.
Yes.
Called Cursum Perficio. And the reason I think this could fit in a video game is because this brings to my mind images of like some sort of final dungeon, but not necessarily one where you are hard pressed to complete it as quickly as possible. It's not like the end of the world is now, but you do need to prevent the end of the world. It is still a bit ominous.
It's very funny because I went further and identified exactly where this music could be situated.
Same. You first.
Before that, I will say that the first 30 seconds of the intro of this song, the melody immediately reminded me of the intro of Riders of the Storm, On the Storm by The Doors. It feels very similar, and that's strange, and that deserves to be mentioned.
Fair.
Yeah, but then we have the song that kind of takes its final form with the chants and the deep piano and the high vocals. And what I'm where I'm transported at specifically is Anno Londo. It's a symbol of a glory whose luster is artifice, its decay overdue, but its pride coming from both inside and out, maintaining that strange tension of expectations.
So I didn't say Anno Orlando in particular, mostly because Dark Souls has such a specific style that this would not fit there at all. But I did say that it goes primarily in like some kind of ancient ruin forest thing. We were definitely on the same track there.
Yeah.
And then what Eddie said, now all of a sudden I'm like, could this fit in Memoria? Yes, this could fit in Memoria. Could this fit in maybe Ultimicia's castle where time doesn't matter because time stopped existing?
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a nice one. Especially with the escalation at the end.
Yeah, that breakdown adds some real tension.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the final third really picks up the tempo, and that's kind of what makes it sound sort of gamey to me, because that sounds like something that would play when things do get urgent.
Yeah, I flat out said, not only do I want this in a video game, I want this to be in a video game that I'm playing right now, because I want to play something that sounds like this. Please. This is actually my favorite song of the bunch, which really threw me off, because I was not expecting that one.
Impressive. And, okay.
Contrary to the Aria song from earlier, this song's lyrics actually do mean something.
Oh yeah, no, apparently they're in Latin. I think someone in the YouTube comment said they learned Latin because of this song.
Yeah, I saw that comment as well. So, first off, I tried looking into the actual jewel case of the album. Like, for children in the audience, music used to come in these discs, and they would come inside plastic boxes.
Correction. For the children in the audience and Square Enix, who apparently needs to be informed every now and then, comes in music come in a format named CD.
Yeah, that stands for compact disc. It would come in as a small transparent plastic case that we would call a jewel case.
Indeed.
A jewel, as in like a stone jewel. And they would also come with this little bit of paper which had the lyrics to the songs and sometimes also some liner notes.
The insert. We love the insert.
So I went looking because I knew for sure that my mom had this album. And I found the insert, and first off, it took me a while to be able to read what was there because that font is horrendous. It might be Enya's handwriting, and if so, I am so sorry.
Okay.
Shout out to Metallica's Load, which had the same problem.
Oh, really?
That was the first album I ever bought on CD, and I could not tell what the hell the lyrics were because whoever the hell's Chicken Scratch that was just illegible.
Oh, incredible. I love it.
Yeah, my personal journey with this song first started, so I tried looking to the lyrics there. It had the lyrics, but not the translations. It did have a note there that it was inspired, the lyrics were initially inspired by, I think it's Marilyn Monroe's epitaph or something like that. Because it means Cursum Perficio apparently means my journey ends here. So, well, the CD insert didn't have the translation of the lyrics, so let's go Googling. And I found this is fan-made, fan-uploaded, let's say. It's on lyricstranslate.com.
It's unofficial.
It's unofficial. But apparently, supposedly, it says, my journey ends here. So it's that for the first 2/3 of the song, just repeating. And then when the song picks up and the lyrics change, it says in Latin, of course, a word is enough for the wise. The more one has, the more he desires. After the clouds, the light forever. Which sounds like a JRPG ending. Like the more one has, the more he desires, but then you beat the boss.
No, I'm still on my Anno Londo train, and what you just said only reinforces it.
But yeah, so if that translation is correct, then the lyrics kind of just add to the video gamey vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
no,
that's
this
a wonderful pick, and
yeah,
no, the song is a very nice listen. The way the lyrics at first repeat, but kind of don't sound like they're just stuck in a loop if you're not paying that close attention to it, reminds me of my experience with Fairy Tales About Slavery from Miranda's Sex Garden, which is a song that's, I think, 9 minutes long, where the lyrics are just 4 verses repeated again and again over the course of the entire songs, and it took me years to realize that. Because the tone is modulated, the arrangement feels different, and where it's situated in relation to the music changes enough that the repetition only really shows up by the end, even though it's there all along. Anyway, if I am yapping about songs that I have enjoyed, how about we move on to talk about a song that I made you discover and that you're still actively into?
Yeah, this was an easy pick for me. So I've talked about in the podcast before how Age of Wonders 4 was...
Wait.
Go on.
An easy pick. How about an effortless pick? Come on.
Anyway, so I've mentioned before in the podcast how Age of Wonders 4 is the only strategy game I ever got into because of the soundtrack. And I discovered the soundtrack because Rana DM'd me one day going, check this soundtrack. I think you'll like it. And I checked the first song, I was, okay. I checked the second song. It was basically something that could fit in Rise of Nations, and I went, I get why you suggested this. I kept going down. I got to Effortless Expansion, which basically sounds like a cut song from Rise of Nations, and went, yep, I'm buying this.
Yeah, okay.
And it ended up being my favorite 4X game of all time because it allows for actually role-playing rather than forcing you into min-maxing things.
It's such a good game for that. Like,
it is.
Not only have I actually finished 3 games of it, and I don't usually finish my 3X games a lot, but what happens is that when you finish a game, your ruler gets the option to be essentially uploaded in a pantheon where they have a kind of a possible presence in your future games. So you're building up to something, and it's a really cool way to kind of share an internal narrative between your games. And it's so cool. And like I've said, the music, the composition, the way it works, felt like it was very much your thing. And hey, when I'm right, I'm right.
There's one song by the composer Michiel van den Bos that I want to bring up in a future episode, where he and another composer worked together to make a cover album of Deus Ex songs.
Ooh.
And Michiel van den Bos was the one who did the Unetical theme. So that's something.
Right, I'm intrigued.
Keep your ears up, because that's definitely coming up whenever the episode theme lines up with it, because I've been wanting to talk about that one as well for a long time. But Age of Wonders 4 is like, as a game, it's a game that I found a lot of fun playing, mainly in 2 ways. Either effectively telling my own story, like making my own faction and giving them a background and then seeing what happens. Or the other way that I found fun to play Age of Wonders 4 is looking at World of Warcraft, looking at the different factions in Warcraft, going, that's a cool concept that Blizzard absolutely butchered. Let me remake that in Age of Wonders 4 so that it doesn't suck.
That's a good thing about this game.
Yeah.
it's a fun time, and the soundtrack
Yeah.
is great as well. I think
Yeah.
that only one DLC has a soundtrack that I'm not that into, and surprisingly, it's the most ethereal of the DLCs.
Huh.
I don't. I think it's Divine Prophecy or something like that. The name of the DLC.
The Archon Prophecy.
Archon Prophecy. Yes. There, even for me, there just isn't anything for me to grab onto on that soundtrack. But the rest
Yeah.
of the soundtrack is just really, really cool.
So I'm just going to say...
For this one... go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just going to say... I have yet to really, really get into it. It's nice, like there's nothing offensive here. But this song, it doesn't really grab me. I will say, there is so much cello in this song. This song is very cello forward in a lot of places. If there were a cello episode on the Wheel of Instruments or whatever, this would be a great pick for that. So keep that under your hat. All I'm saying.
Sure helps that I really love cellos.
Yeah, that does track.
I will say it takes a while for it to take shape proper. Like, I feel both tracks related to me somehow had a 1.5 minute intro. But it makes perfect sense in this case in particular, given the desired vibe, which is the expansion parts of your empire, where you are turning that wilderness into a home and you are seeing very little opposition. And so things are kind of fleshing themselves out. And this is very much a wonderful theme of things that are going smoothly and the enemies not having really been under your radar yet.
Yep.
I
don't
Secret
really
of
have
the
any-
Archmage is soon at this point.
Yep.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a story-based expansion with a lot of new things to let you tell your own story, which sounds exactly like the things I want.
Mm-hmm.
And check.
Yeah. As far as the song goes, I honestly don't really have anything else to say. You just said everything I had in mind.
Wonderful. Then how about we talk about a song Galen made you discover that you're still actively into?
So, let's get into lore again.
Okay.
We sometimes joke about how I have a very insane workout playlist.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I have an even more insane playlist that I titled, "In Case of Emergency, Click the Playlist." It's a playlist that I made when I was working in customer support back in 2016, I think. And
Okay. Things are starting to get into place.
I usually describe this playlist as the playlist for songs for when I feel like I want to punch someone, but I know I can't or shouldn't.
Yeah. A
So-
very modern sentiment.
Yeah, there's some Mick Gordon in there. There's some Strapping Young Lad, which is a very heavy band that Devin Townsend formed back in the day. There's some punk from Cage Fight. There's thrash from Fear Factory. And then there's Otherworld from Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy X.
Yeah. This song.
Yeah, this
Great
is
song indeed.
a catharsis playlist. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And this song goes in there perfectly.
Kind of by design, given how it starts to be introduced in the game. Like, before the track really kicks in, you have this moment of just taking a deep breath and getting in the mood to do your job, which in Tidus's case, at the point of the first time you hear it, happens to be playing Underwater Sports Ball.
So, this song is not aged well for me. I'm a little shocked.
Really?
Yeah, much like FF10 itself, this one has soured on me really hard over the years. So I'm actually kind of like, I almost feel bad. Like I almost regret introducing this to Eddie now. Because I'm like, oh, I've inflicted this upon you. I'm so sorry. I'm glad you like it. I don't want to undersell that, but
Especially since I really like it too.
I'm also sorry. Okay. So this is me both being a metalhead and a, like, deeply amateur scholar of video game music history, thanks to this show, I'm just going to throw out there that this is similar to One Winged Angel in that it was a very big departure for the rest of the game, and you could definitely look at it and go, that's a thing. But, okay, so in One Winged Angel's case, obviously this was this giant phenomenon. Everyone looked at it and went, wow, look what we can do on this hardware. And you could basically run a direct line between that and everything that comes after. Whereas this song, Otherworld, it doesn't have a legacy other than the song itself. It was, at the time, considered an anomaly. And
I think one of the elements that make it both anomalous, but in a way that makes sense, is that it's very different from Nobuo Uematsu's catalog, of course.
Sure.
But also the main composer on Final Fantasy X is Hamauzu.
Yep.
And so the fact that this is an anomaly and that this isn't even the same composer as the main part of the soundtrack kind of makes sense. And I would even go further and to say that the fact that in the story of the game, Tidus is an anomaly, and that the song plays at 2 points that are the world breaking down, essentially, it all makes sense to me.
I don't disagree from a in-game standpoint. My disagreements with this song come from the composition just has not aged at all very well, and B, again, the utter lack of legacy beyond this game. It's just an anomaly. What did it influence? Absolutely nothing. There's never been a metal renaissance in RPGs. In fact, every time up until very recently has death or heavy metal shown up in RPGs, it's always been as a joke. It's the Turtle Races in Chained Echoes, or it's the death metal Chocobo Freakout in Final Fantasy 13 2. It's never actually treated as a legitimate...
Or the Happy Turtle Shop metal song in Final Fantasy VII Remake, for that matter.
Yeah, it's always just been as a haha, isn't this funny kind of moment, as opposed to actually looking at actually thinking, oh, this is a cool way we could make this music work. Until I think it was late last year when finally someone did what I would consider to be a proper follow-up to this song. Same concept. Technically, with a few asterisks, the final boss of an RPG. Technically, with a few asterisks, a legendary composer joining up with a singer for hire, and the only reason that we even know what it is because one dude plays D&D with another dude.
Yeah.
We live in a post-everything burns world. This song just has no place in it.
All I can say at this point...
In a legacy perspective, that kind of makes sense, but I'm not really looking at the legacy there. I suppose I guess I liked it too much as an anomaly before Everything Burns existed to really dock it any points there.
Yeah, unfortunately, as a song compositionally, I'm increasingly opposed to it. One, as I've gotten into metal way more since I first heard the song, and thus know what good metal sounds like. And two, my god, this mix is just disgusting. It's so bit crushed. It's just the riff is very basic. The vocals are unintelligible. Like I'm trying to find anything in the song except the actual intro, and I can't find it.
I would say for the lyrics that they are for the genre pretty light, so that outside of the very first growls, it feels relatively easy to decipher, which may be a mark of a composer that isn't that used to the genre, if nothing else.
It does amuse me that the singer Bill Muir, I think, Bill Muir, I don't know how you pronounce that, is at least as of the time of them making the song, he was still known from his previous band, which I think is meant to be read Till I Die, but it has X's on either side, which makes it look like a 2005 Xbox gamer tag.
That it does.
It really does.
I will say though, as far as the song, I don't disagree with anything you just said, but this song fits really well right next to Strapping Young Lads, You Suck.
Okay, that I can't deny. That I can't deny.
But yeah, there's actually been a few
It's
songs.
a bit of a release. It's either a hype-up song or something that's pretty... Like, it is compositionally relatively simple, but...
like I said, this is on
it works.
what I can only call a catharsis playlist.
Yeah.
There have been other songs that Galen has introduced to me that I still enjoy, but this is the one that came to my mind because this playlist is a running gag between me and some friends where we just call it the playlist, and if we're talking on Discord, we'd call it the playlist followed by a gif of a lightning bolt.
I can
as if
hear
it's
the
like
capital B.
Same.
P.
Same.
Yep, pretty much. And it's like when I'm too stressed out and I need to just let it out, this is the playlist I go to, and that song just fits so well.
Fair
And
enough.
the crunched up vocals, they fit because they're crunched, I think.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
No thoughts, head empty, just...
Okay, well...
It's not a song that I enjoy because it's technical or something. It's just a song that I enjoy because it lets the energy out.
That's
it's
entirely
the songs
fair.
You listen to the way Galen sometimes would want to play a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm not angry at either of you for liking the song.
Yeah.
I get it.
Now then, how about we move on to question number 9, the kind of recent obsession that you've been playing often on your audio app of choice.
So this actually stumped me. It might surprise you, but on my free time, I don't actually listen to video game music all that much.
Mm-hmm.
I have some mood-based playlists where I do have video game music there. One of them was the one with
Anger is a mood.
The playlist is one of them, but like
Indeed.
I have some ambiance playlists for when I want to write or world build. I have some playlists for when I want to chill down late in the night. And anyway, I have a lot of mood-based playlists, and those playlists do have video game music. But when I listen to music the most is during work. And when I'm working, I cannot listen to video game music because it just distracts me, and I start thinking about the game.
I see.
That's ADHD for you, I guess.
Yeah.
It simply paints too good a picture.
Yeah. So the funny thing is that this last week a new game came out called new small game, new indie game called Forza Horizon 6.
Yeah, just a tiny thing that no one's ever heard of before.
Yep. Yeah, it comes from a micro-sized studio. Don't remember the name, though. Something soft.
Yeah, very, very small. Anyway, so Forza Horizon, since the previous installment, since Forza Horizon 5, they have a retrowave radio station, and the entire soundtrack is basically just licensed music at this point. And in Forza Horizon 6, there's a few races you complete at the start of the game before you can actually change the radio station. So you are listening to the song that they intended for that race as you're introduced to the game. And one of them was with the retrowave station, which is the Horizon Wave, they call it. And the songs that are playing, Sniper Rouge by Mitch Murder. And it just got, it is very catchy.
Yeah, it is.
Earwormed its way into my brain, and I've been living with that song rent-free in my head since the game just came out.
I see.
It also helps that Microsoft did make official playlists with the entire the entire track list for most of the radios. I think it's just missing one, probably something to do with the rights.
I'm sure it's
to that,
licensing.
record
It's
label.
always licensing.
Yeah, it's specifically a radio station that is just a record label's artist. So it's probably something to do with their licensing with that label.
I believe
But
that.
Horizon Wave is available, at least in Brazil, and this song is in that. And I've been listening to that radio, either in game or via the Spotify playlist a lot.
Wow, this song is 80s. This is the most 80s song you've put on here, which is hilarious because it's probably not from the 80s. In fact, it's almost certainly not. It's very much like Japanese nostalgia music.
I will actually check when it came out.
I believe 2016.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I'm in this strange situation when it comes to assessing this song, which is that I like every individual element of the song. I also like how it's used in Forza Horizon 6 as a driving song. It's wonderful as a driving song. But when it comes to the genre it evokes and the way it's created, I feel an unease that I end up kind of really disliking because of what has already been evoked, that this is shouting I am an 80s song in a way that feels superficial, that feels like it's evoking a feeling it hasn't analyzed nor reckoned with. I have no doubt that there is a sincerity behind the composition, but it feels superficial in what it ends up driving.
Oh no, not the Japanese music industry being superficial. Whatever shall we do?
Yeah, but what I mean is this doesn't feel like something that's derived from the original wave of Japanese city pop, for instance, but from people that rediscovered it from YouTube videos about catchy thumbnails and like the same 2 or 3 pieces of city pop and decided to make it their entire personality for a couple of years.
Yeah,
I feel that
with the synth that has the same ID, the same vibe from people that added synthwave to their vocabulary for the same couple of years, and I don't know. It feels like I'm seeing the construction lines a bit too hard to ever get into it.
I think that's kind of like a curse of the genre, let's say, because synthwave is that waves. Synthwave is synthetic, not just in the sense of it has synths, but in the sense that it is like it's invoking overproduced music from the past, but it's not overproduced because there was a producer who was insistent on doing that absurdity. It's because they enjoy it. Like it's part of the musicality itself.
Okay, let me just sort of give an anecdote that's going to sound unrelated, but it will come back around, I promise.
Go ahead.
I did say I like Uncle Galen's story time.
There's a band, I wouldn't say I love them, but I do listen to them from time to time. They're called In Flames. They're a Swedish heavy metal band. They are a band with a very mixed history, but one interesting thing is an album they did called Come Clarity, and I think this was 2005 or thereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of the last album of their OG sound. And then right after that, a buddy of mine showed me this Japanese band that was just In Flames plus techno. The lead singer tried to look like Japanese Anders Frieden, and everyone else was like the stereotypical mid-2000s Bishonen look. And I couldn't stop laughing at this thing. This is literally just like someone took In Flames and did what you just said, which is just we should copy this because it's funny. Like, literally
Not quite
one to
what I
one.
said, but yeah.
Yeah, I synthwave is like, it is a very synthetic genre by design, I think, and that's both its strength and its weakness. And I can see that, like, being a turnoff. I can only
Yeah,
stomach so
and
much
the thing
synthwave
is
myself.
the thing is that I guess I can handle synthwave. I can handle new city pop. Having both of them with a couple of Cobalt transitions for good measure is perhaps a bit much for my sensibilities, I guess, is my conclusion there.
I can see it. I personally just really enjoyed the vibes, and of course, I was introduced to it by driving a car while listening to the song,
Yeah.
which, as you said, is a cool.
Yeah,
vibe.
that is the correct
Absolutely.
time to be listening to this one. That or at a Yakuza game karaoke bar, one or the other.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, even though Horizon Wave is the radio I listen to the most in Forza Horizon 6, I would be lying if I told you that I could tell every single song apart. There are some songs that are just blend in my brain
Yeah.
because synthwave is that.
So, as a hint, I am planning on putting on a synthwave song for my version of this episode in a couple episodes, or next episode, or whenever that's scheduled for.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm interested to hear your takes on that once that shows up.
Indeed. We will see.
And I'm interested to hear the song.
Now then, how about we move on to the last pick, which is also a free space, and boy is it free.
Yeah.
Yep.
And wild.
Yeah, this might be the most biographical part of this entire episode, because we are going all the way back to what might be the first game I've ever played in my life.
I see.
Wow.
So first, let me tell the story of the game and then the story of how I got into it. So the game is Freddi Fish and the Case of the Missing Kelp Seeds. This is a point-and-click game for ages between 2 and 6, I think, or between 2 and 8, something like that.
It's edutainment.
Yes, kind of. Like, it has an edutainment mini game that you can engage with, but you don't need to. The thing is, the developers came from LucasArts, what used to be called LucasArts.
Right.
Okay.
They had developed Maniac Mansion already. They had developed, I think, already the first Monkey Island title. But then they figured there's a market for this kind of game for younger ages. Sierra is doing it for like teenagers and adults. LucasArts is doing it for kids, but like around their early teens. There's a market for the younger generation, the younger kids. And so they found this company called Humongous Entertainment. Most people who know Humongous Entertainment's name know of it because of the Backyard Sports series, like Backyard Football, Backyard Baseball. They had like a series of games in that vibe. I just played with a few of their point-and-click games, which were the original reason behind the company.
Right.
In one of our earlier episodes, I mentioned how like Super Metroid was the first game where I really stopped to listen to the music as I was playing, because I was old enough to actually care, and the song was actually that impactful to me, at least. And that is very much still correct. I got an SNES, I think, in 2000, the year 2000, because tech back in the day in Brazil, we were always behind. We still are behind in terms of tech, but we can at least import the new tech if we really need it.
Right.
And in terms of video gaming, we are on par with the US in terms of what we get here nowadays. But in the 2000s, we didn't. We were always at one generation behind, sometimes 1.5 generations. But what I did have before having an SNES was a PC. And one of my cousins had like a ton of CDs that he wasn't using anymore, And he went, you know what? Keep it. It's yours.
Nice.
And some of those games were, I think, 3 different point-and-click games by Humongous Entertainment. He doesn't know how he got those. I have no idea how he got those. I also have no idea how I played this because it's all in English. I did not know a word of English at the time. I think that might have been part of how I learned English because I learned English through video games. I never took an English course in my life, fun fact.
You and many people, my friend.
So yeah, one of these days, I think it was 2024, maybe 2025. YouTube just started suggesting to me like Humongous Entertainment retrospective videos, like going back and looking at their catalog and being nostalgic about them and that sort of crap. And when I saw the video about this game, and it played the intro song, which is the one that's on the playlist, I instantly got transported all the way back to playing this game. I instantly remember the song. The song is by George Sanger. The version we have is an unofficial remaster by him. He goes by The Fat Man. And just for the record, I think it's worth giving credit to the man because the man was huge in the gaming world in the 90s. Prior to working in quite a few of Humongous games, he also worked in RPM Racing, which was the predecessor to Rock and Roll Racing. He worked on the first 2 Wing Commander games. He worked he was one of the composers who worked on Might and Magic 3. He worked on Master of Orion, The Seventh Guest. He was part of the team who worked on Maniac Mansion, specifically the NES part.
Wow.
That is quite the pedigree.
Yeah, this is a big resume.
The fact that this guy doesn't really have many titles to his name after the 2000s is wild. But
indeed,
as far as what I've experienced, I really enjoy the vibes. So the game is, like I said, it's for ages like between 2 and 8 or something like that, and you control a fish who is a child, but you're the one in charge of like figuring out what's going on. You're trying to figure out in this specific game what happened to treasure chest of kelp seeds because the kelp is dying.
That's the name.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of a detective game, but for kids. And man, did I enjoy the vibes of this game. I think
that
this game might
feel
also
like quite the nostalgia trip.
I think this game might also have inadvertently been the start of my leaning towards gothic vibes because the game looks really dark. It is like the sequels are much brighter, but this specific game was the only Freddi Fish game I had, and it really wants to make sure you know it's in the deep sea.
Honestly, Town Gothic by Freddi Fish in the case of the mystery kelp seed is an amazing flex.
Yeah.
I never said my life story was normal.
What is normal anyway? But yeah, for my notes on the song, because I hadn't heard the game before, and that's why I never would have guessed you would have made that pick in a million chances. But my first remark is that the steel drums by themselves are a wonderful match made in heaven for an Adamarin soundtrack or stuff like What Are the Plates or the likes. But that it also has to reckon with living the shadow cast by the Little Mermaids Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Which, at this point of proximity, feels like it's looming a bit. And as for the rest of the song, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the choice of MIDI instrument in this remaster, but it feels almost like it's two songs stacked on top of each other, one ambient one and one that feels kind of weirdly sharp. Maybe it's just the percussion choices that are like that in comparison of the rest. But
I think it might help.
Compositionally, it's pretty fun.
I think it might help explain it, knowing that it's part of the intro sequence from when you boot up the game, and there is dialogue in some parts, all the way to the actual title screen. And it's a long sequence. Like, if you're picturing those intro sequences from the SNES days, where like if you let your controller down on the main menu for a while, you would get a sequence, a little bit of an action sequence with, I don't know, X and Zero on Mega Man X2, something like that.
The demo version, kinda.
So picture that, but
demo.
longer. Picture that, but longer, and actually introducing the plot.
I see, yeah. That wasn't the thing.
I think I don't necessarily agree that it's two songs stacked on top of each other, but I do think this mix isn't doing it any favors. Like, there's a piano line in here that comes in way too hot and does definitely distract from the main refrain.
Yeah.
The song itself almost gives off a Mario Kart vibe. Like, that's where my brain went with this.
Really?
I think it might be the little bit of samba thrown in there. From what I've read, the composer is actually kind of proud of himself for being able to put the little samba bit in the song. I think it might be that, because there are a few Mario songs that kind of not necessarily go for samba itself, but kind of give a bit of a tropical vibe, like
absolutely
Super Mario Sunshine. There's the various
I would say right from the start, in fact.
I would say
right from the beginning, there are, within the constraints of the instruments of the NES, of course, those notes that have been there right from the start.
Yeah.
This is more of a song that, like, I don't have too much to say about the song. I have a lot to say about the memories.
Yeah. And it is certainly the cutest of picks.
It is a very cute pick.
Yeah. All right, and I guess that marks the end of the Eddie episode. Some absolutely great tracks you've picked today as well.
Thanks for putting up with this nonsense. This was really cool.
Oh, you have to put up with this nonsense yourselves in the next 2 episodes. So I am curious to see what you two will bring up.
Well, that's a nice way to string people along for a couple episodes.
Sure enough.
But that isn't to say that by the next episode and the one after that, we haven't got any tracks of our own to talk about briefly. Namely, the ones of the games we have been playing recently. Let's go to Music Arcade, now playing. I will be starting us off. I've been enjoying quite a bit of Subnautica 2. It released in early access. I've played it solo and then had some friends that were as well into it, and we've restarted a multiplayer world, and it's been really fun. Ben Prunty, which was the composer for Subnautica Below Zero but not the original, is back there, and the sounds feel a bit closer to FTL, which I really like that way. The soundtrack feels like it fits the atmosphere of this unknown space. We weren't getting too much into the, ooh, look how scary the underwater world is, which was a bit of a worry that they would lean too hard in this aspect. The balance they've struck works very well, both for the soundtrack itself and for the game as a whole. It doesn't forget that to drive you to swim through the horrors, you have to focus on a more positive feeling, namely the curiosity about the story and the alien ecology and the Trail of Crumbs. And it works very well.
I'm waiting for it to be a complete game before I potentially try it. I know there was a lot of drama behind the scenes for this game.
Yeah.
So I'm
some
a little
contract stuff and
a little concerned by some of those.
It was definitely in a very uneasy situation, but it seems that on the result we had for the game at this point, we have a very solid game in our hands. And I'm very happy for that. Next, I've also started playing a bit of Persona 5 Scramble at last.
Finally!
I started a bit, gave up during the tutorial because it was so linear and long, and I've resumed it from the start, and I'm not fully out of the tutorial yet. I've only played a couple hours, but it does the Persona thing of holding your hand and dragging you along one linear path for quite a while.
It sure does, but once that first jail opens up, the game gets super fun. I love this game. Bad start, notwithstanding.
And I'm starting to get at the point where functions have unlocked enough that I can definitely see the ingredients and start feeling that that soup they're cooking is going to be pretty good. But yeah, I looked at the Steam achievements page because I wondered if it was just me, and turns out between two achievements that are part of the initial tutorial track, the completion rate goes from 91% to 63%.
I hate that that's the truth, but it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Persona games and long intros. It's just the way of the world.
That it is.
And to be clear, that is a Persona game. Yeah, it's got the Musou battle system, but for anyone, no, that is literally just the sequel.
Yeah.
That reminds me of when I was playing Farthest Frontier and I checked these Steam achievements, and like the first thing you have to do in the game is build your town center, basically. I think it has another name, but it's basically your town center. And that gives you an achievement. And I saw the achievements on Steam, and I think it was like 40%.
Wow.
How do you leave the game before doing the first thing?
Very carefully. Open the game, look at the title screen, and go, you know what? Nah. And then just never play it again, I guess? How?
Town center. I hate town centers.
Open concept cities forever or something. I don't know. How does that happen?
Yeah. There must have been some sort of big sale where a lot of people got the game and never played it or something.
Yeah.
Possibly. But yeah, the music's super sweet. That last surprise remix they have for one of the tutorial battles is really great.
Oh, yeah.
And
the combination of Shoji Meguro and Masa turned out to be surprisingly potent.
Oh, yeah.
I've made clear that I actually like the soundtrack as a whole better than Persona 5's.
Yeah.
Because it already uses the best part of Persona 5 and then just adds a whole bunch of new really cool stuff to it.
From a different composer, no less. And I'm paying attention to that because I'm going to actually meet Shoji Meguro in person in a couple of weeks. So
yes, you are.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it for what I've played that deserve musical mention. So who's next?
I'll go. We'll save Eddie for last because Eddie's the star of this particular episode. So I'm playing this very silly indie game for $5 called Librarian. Clean up the arcane library or something like that. Tidy up the arcane library. Yeah. It is a very cute game. It is surprisingly cute. It's just your standard cleanup game. Find books scattered everywhere because of, and I quote, this stupid fairy, end quote, and put them in the right shelves. But there's a level of wordplay humor going on in these book titles that is really great.
Yeah, when you have a lot of stuff to fill, you start to have to get creative or to go mad.
Yeah.
And judging by some of the book covers, I'm not sure which one applies there.
Definitely all of the above.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely all of the above. There's a little of both here. There was one, like, I keep running across this book and laughing because it's so on the nose. It's just a pure, just light novel. That's all it is. It's just light novel in this magic world. And I just find that so both frustrating and amusing that I can't escape weebery even in a magic world.
Yeah, that checks out.
Just
and
cute stuff like that, but then also like actually smart stuff, like the economics segment has actual like mana resources and stuff like that. Like, it's very creative in a way that I wasn't expecting. The wordplay really tickles my brain.
It feels like it's giving a window into a larger world that has actually been thought of, even though you're staying in one room for the entire game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, obviously, the only other game I've really been playing have been 14 and Arknights, so not really much to add there.
I will mention for the track you've put for Librarian that this also would work very well as an Age of Wonders 4 theme.
Yeah. I don't... The music is nice to listen to in the moment, but it's not anything super special. I just looked it up in the credits, saw they used public domain, and just put that video on the playlist. It's nice, but it's not like...
It fits the mood and knows that there's a 70% chance you're just going to put your own music and vibe to it anyway.
Still has the vibes, though.
It does.
Yeah. Anyway, what have you been playing, Eddie, now that we've established that Galen does, in fact play Arknights?
So, of course, Forza Horizon 6, like I said.
Yeah.
I've been having enough fun with the game that I just went, okay, let's buy the DLC already. Like, DLC isn't even out yet, I'm buying it. I'm on the Game Pass, let's buy it. Whatever.
All right.
It's fun. It's set in Japan, so the city areas are much more urban than the city areas from the previous game, which was in Mexico. So it's really cool. There's a lot of variety on the map.
It's looking very cool. Honestly, that was kind of a toss-up. If I didn't have the option to go for a multiplayer game, I probably would have picked Forza instead of Subnautica 2.
Makes sense.
Gotta control my budget a little.
Yeah.
My only quote-unquote complaint with the game, which isn't really a complaint, I can't really be mad about this, is that Horizon XS, which is the rock and metal station, isn't really that fun for me specifically this time around. And it includes 2 separate songs by Baby Metal, which I like. Horizon XS was my main station in the previous game, so I tried to listen to Horizon XS on this one, and I was like, nope, let's press left and go through Horizon Wave. I can't really be mad because it's set in Japan, it's a metal station, so of course Baby Metal would be there.
Yeah,
but
like that checks out.
Yeah. I get why they're there, but I don't like them, so, you know.
Yeah. There are some other bands that I'm not really a huge fan, so the track list for the metal station just really isn't there for me this time. But the retro wave station works, and the classical station this time around goes for contemporary classical, which sounds like a paradox, but I swear it's a real thing.
Clearly.
So there's a lot.
I imagine there's also a Eurobeat station of some sort.
Yeah, so I'll just list the stations real quick. There's Sub Pop Records, which is a station of indie rock and indie pop and alternative from the Sub Pop Records label. There's Hospital Records, which is the same deal, but it's a record label of drum and bass instead. There's Horizon XS, which is rock and metal. Horizon Wave, which is synthwave and retrowave and all that stuff. There's Horizon Pulse, which is electronic and pop music. Horizon Opus, which is the classical / neoclassical station. There's Horizon Block Party, which is hip hop. Horizon Bass Arena, which is dance and EDM. And the one that amuses me the most, but I'd never listened to, Gacha City Radio, is all things Japanese music and is the only radio station where the DJ only speaks Japanese.
I've seen some anime openings I know there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I've heard that some of those bands do anime openings. It's like J-rock, J-pop, and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can watch Galen's soul disintegrating just listening to those genre names. So, what else have you been playing?
So I've also played a little bit of Motor Slice.
Yeah.
This is a game that was on my list of games I was waiting for in early 2026.
Yep.
I described it at the time as like based on videos I saw, looking like a sort of brutalist take on Shadow of the Colossus, where you would climb on monsters, but the monsters are actually big machines.
Right.
That remains true. The thing is, the navigation from one boss to the next has a lot more Prince of Persia DNA than I expect. It's very interesting. You do a lot of parkour, including chunking your chainsaw into the wall and just riding the chainsaw.
Love it.
It is a fun time. The soundtrack, I think I've only heard like 3 songs so far. It's rather sparse because the world itself is very sparse.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
believe
enjoyable.
it was brought up during when the game was in Next Fest. And I remember I like what they're trying, but I think they are maybe going a little bit too hard on the gaming loops, even for me. And I like me a little gaming loop here and there.
Yeah, I can see that. It's the visuals are odd, let's say.
Yeah.
Not for everyone. I myself sometimes just sort of roll my eyes. And the final game that I've sort of just tried a little bit has been Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which is a new-ish beat 'em up. They just announced the first DLC. I think the DLC actually came out, which adds Cyclops and the Thing as playable characters.
Cool.
It's a fun game. Like the beat 'em up's really fun. You select 2 characters rather than just one, because you can use like their powers together sometimes. And some characters are more melee, some are more ranged. And the only other thing I can say is that anyone who knows me for a long time knows that back in the day I used to play Marvel Heroes as Captain Marvel a lot. And while Captain Marvel isn't playable in this game, there is a related character called Phyla Val who is playable, and she's basically Captain Marvel with a cloak and a sword made of light. So
improvement.
She's unlockable, so I haven't been playing with her yet, but I think you can imagine I will be playing once I unlock her.
Sweet.
That's basically it for me.
Then that's basically it for the episode.
Sure sounds like it. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this wonderful look into the mind and tastes of our good friend Eddie, as well as our Now Playing, of course. As always, you can find a playlist of the songs we talked about in the description below. We are on Blue Sky now. Come say hello. And with that, we will see you all next episode.
See ya.
See you next time.